Is it really necessary to protect this, and this? And if that's the case, then keep watching this video. So about a week ago, we launched the front camera protection film. And basically what it is it was kind of a weird, or actually first I saw it on Facebook and then I looked at my camera and said, hey, do I have scratches on mine? And I had 4 chips all across my front camera. And this front camera is awesome. I mean, there's a huge difference between hardware 3 and hardware 4. And hardware 4 tend to have the front camera, the Cybertruck does. The newer Model S, X, all the newer cars basically have the front camera. And the problem with the front camera is awesome. It has a wiper right here. Is the fact that it's very low ground. And a lot of the stuff just comes up to it and hits it. And there's no added protection. And what we found is we actually didn't come up with a solution at first because we saw like those covers that you can put. But here's the problem with those covers. In the morning when the dew is there, it basically condensates. And once it condensates, it basically is useless. So you really can't have something that is like a dome. You really need a film that actually goes onto the surface of the actual camera lens. And that's really what we came up with. We ended up testing with a couple more materials and we found something that works really well without distorting any of the vision. And that is really the key, is you cannot distort it. It is dangerous and we just can't, right? Because this is the eyes of the car that allows it to happen. We actually already did a video about this, so we're not gonna actually do this one, but that's what sparked everything. Then we started thinking, actually other people told us, I wish I could take credit, but people are like, but how about this camera and that camera? And this is where this product came about. And this is just the FSD protection kit. So we sell it in all models, so Model 3. There's only Model 3 because we actually ended up just giving you all sizes. So I understand, yes, Model 3 Highland and the Model 3 Legacy are different, but we just give you everything. So typically, this is what the product is. It protects this Fender camera right here. This is called a repeater, autopilot repeater. You have the B pillar right here. And our film now actually covers the whole thing, not just right here, but the whole pillar right here. And then of course, the back camera. Look, the back camera is really not that big of a deal because, I mean, there's a very low chance that it'll get damaged. And if you look at mine, it looks perfectly fine. Not necessary, but it just is that risk. And that's kind of funny because we actually had a customer, or actually with Justin's customer, Bearded Tesla, we actually ended up helping replace his back camera because he hit it or something happened to it. So, I mean, it does happen. And if you had a film, it would actually protect it. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. So first off, you can see right here, I wanted to show you, I'm going to install, and if it's installed, I'll kind of show you. This is the B pillar camera. And right now, I mean, you can't even see that the film is installed, but you can see that the film is installed by looking at this line that I'm going to show you right here. You see that line now that I've kind of made it known. And it protects all of this. And then let's go inside real quick. You can see the left pillar is perfectly fine. The right pillar is perfectly fine as well, and there's no distortion, right? So installing it is super simple. And actually, Tesla has done a lot to these cameras. These autopilot repeater cameras, they kind of look the same from the outside, but there's a couple things that they did. So first off, this right here, they didn't have this little ridge. So on, for example, your 2018 Model 3, it just kind of goes flat. And what happened is a lot of the rain kind of went down to the camera. So this actually protects quite a bit. So it's really well covered while not removing, I guess, like the visibility. But regardless, it does get dirty. And there's actually a quite big difference. So on the Gen, I forget what Gen it is, but it's like hardware 2.5, for example, on the 2018 Model 3. These cameras are a lot smaller, right? So all you have to do is basically just use some alcohol swab right here, right? So I just use this. I'm going to save this for another area. And this is a guide. So like these are for the front and rear cameras. These are for the autopilot cameras. And then these little smaller ones, that's how small the hardware 2.5 is. So we have all the guides. All models are basically the same. And all you do is you just grab one of the guides. So that's what I'm going to do. And you're going to go up to, you know, this one right here. The reason why this is very important, because you never ever want to touch, it's like putting contacts. You don't touch the, the inner part and contaminate before you put it in your eye. When you do this, the reason why we made it white, guys, is because typically the camera is a darker color, like black. It's not actually black, but. So by doing it in this color, we can kind of see a lot better when we align it all. And basically, you're just gonna line it up right here. Once you feel comfortable, gonna push it down. And by doing so, this camera is a lot flatter. And you can kind of peel. And look, now you have a fully covered lens right here. And then let's go ahead and go inside. You can see right here, look at that. No issues whatsoever. I don't see anything, but why is this important? I'm not gonna say it's like, more necessary I think is the front protection for sure, like the front cameras. But what I like about putting the film on even like the autopilot repeaters is that now that it's a film, you can even coat it. So if you have your favorite glass coating, you can put it, and it does help bead some of that water off a lot easier because it doesn't, like some of the glass coatings work. But again, this film is already coated, so you'll see some of the properties, right? I mean, just to give you an example, we did a video about windshield protection. And like we have a TPU based film on this windshield right now. You can't even tell, but if you put like water, check what happens right here. You see how it like, instead of beads, it just kind of like, sorry, instead of like the water, this is called beading, and there's also another thing called sheeting, right? But this just beads, which means that when you go in higher speeds, it just kind of falls down or flies away really easily. So it has this really cool hydrophobic property. So this isn't necessarily the same film, but a lot of the TPU-based film, this is a little too thick to do this, but a lot of the TPU-based film will have this top coat that's really, really hard, and it has that hydrophobic property, which will beat off a lot of water. So in our camera sense, it makes a really big difference to have this kind of property so that you can actually make sure that water doesn't sit there. I mean, if you use autopilot, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're sitting, your autopilot will tell you, hey, your camera is blurry, or you don't have access to this, or you're not going to be on autopilot. It's really annoying, especially right now, because if you're on 14.3 or 14.2 even, you're using your autopilot probably a lot and most of the time because it's that good. So I mean, having that, like you just want to have access to all of them, and that's kind of what this film does on it. So on the rear one, let's do that one just one more time. We did this in the front camera, but it's basically the same. We're going to be using this, and then I'm going to be using this one right here. So for this one, it's basically the same. It has two little handles because you have a better access to it. On the Fender, you can't use both hands like this. That's why we only have one little area. And there you go. I'm just gonna go ahead and clean a little bit surrounding area. That's dirty. And then basically use this. I definitely could have aligned that way better, but the good news is we give you 4. All right, so we got our rear camera over here. Oh, that's good. All right. So, I mean, the main thing is just having that extra level of security on these little cameras. Super easy to install, especially the B-pillar. B-pillar is not rare. I mean, it's not very common to break, but this is glass. So it is kind of nice to have another level of protection right here. So I think that's kind of important. Front camera for sure is necessary. So at all costs, I think the front camera, but if you feel like you want all of them basically, protected, you could. The last thing is there's actually 4 other cameras that I haven't talked about. All right, I guess it's like 3. But anyway, one of them is this one right here. You know, the smaller autopilot repeater camera, it actually does fit this. It's not really necessary. I mean, the risk of this one damaging is like very, very low. But if you want to, you could actually cover that up as well. And then you're probably asking the question, how about these 3 cameras? Well, here's the thing. The cameras itself aren't actually protectable because there is a windshield right there. So if anything, you know, we actually at first thought about, you know, if you're wondering, why can't you just put a film right there? Well, it doesn't really make sense. If you broke the windshield, you have to replace the whole windshield regardless, right? It's not like it always hits this area. It hits anywhere that it wants. On top of that, if you put a film right there, the wipers are always going to catch it every single time. I know the front camera is definitely a must, but all the other cameras I have, you know, we drive on autopilot or FSD all the time on this Juniper Launch Edition. And the fenders tend to get a little bit, not hazy or anything, but more so like it rains a lot and then the water just kind of stays there. So I mean, if there's any way, if it helps even like 5% help the water bead off, I mean, to me, that's worth it, right? So that's kind of what we're thinking about. Same thing for the rear camera, right? The rear camera is a little bit different construction, regardless if you have that layer of film. The film itself is rated for 10 years of, you know, protection. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, or if you're like, hey, if you have any other areas that you think we should protect, let us know in the comments below. But if not, we'll see you later.